Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Dr. James Ong. I'm your host for today. Our scheduled science live stream should be tomorrow, but I have something on, so I swapped with the host, Isabella. So I'm here today, and today I'll be talking about science. And I do apologize before I even continue because my neighbor is making some renovation. And I hope that my microphone filter will take effect and be able to filter the background noise. But in the event that there is any background noise, please accept my apology. Alrighty, so a lot of us, I guess, want to know our creation, where we came from and who we are. And there's a lot of unknown. There's a lot of things that we do not know. Yeah. And so I think the first thing for people into science, as most of us humans want to accept things that we can consciously probably visualize and also be explained by the science. And quite often that we always believe in science, but science, I guess it depends also on which time frame that this science was or knowledge is put forward to the people, because science has also got it wrong many times. Even Einstein has got it wrong. So you can imagine that our understanding today may not be accepted in just a few years to come, right? So let's get on with what we know today. And what we know today is that the science world, scientific world, has more or less accepted of this Big Bang theory, right? So this little tiny dot, with a lot of energy suddenly burst into what they call the inflation, and just exploded. Inflation means that time where it is, traveling, the explosion is faster than the speed of light. So within seconds, it just exploded in a very big way. And that's why they call it the Big Bang. But there shouldn't be any bang there because there is no particle vibration to carry the sound, right? So what we have is light, okay? And so during this Big Bang inflation, then the universe expanded, right? And you don't have particles yet because the temperature was so high at that point in time. And when the temperature subsided and it came down, that is when we have particles, mostly gases like hydrogen, helium, lithium, and so on, right? Then these gases, they combine together into other molecular structure, and then that is where the planetary system and the galaxies were formed. And then when it became like too big, I guess, then it exploded, supernova, and so on. There's a lot of things that, we are still trying to understand. And how science is able to understand is based on the light that they see that travel billions of years. And that's why they came up with the, notion that our universe is 13.8 billion years. Initially, they put it at 13.7 billion because the probe WMAP, then they have the one which is more superior, advanced, which is the Planck probe, sent into outer space and able to see and perhaps measure the cosmic background radiation. And so that's why it's so amazing. Science is also pretty amazing, I must say, to be able to give us glimpses and clues and what's out there. But as we see the light, there's also a lot of things that we don't see because that's only 5%, right? The other 95% are what we call in scientific world dark matter as well as dark energy. But this dark matter and dark energy, they are there because that's why they are holding everything together. And so just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Just like in the early days when we don't see the electromagnetic field, we only believe in particles, things that we can see. So yeah, there's still a lot to discover and a lot to explore. And yeah, so recently, or not to say recently, well, this thing has been planned since the 90s. There is another telescope that they're going to send into outer space to get a better view at the initial stages of our creation of the universe, right? In the past, it's the Hubble telescope, and it has served its purpose. It's been there for years, and it's able to see many things out there and tell us, and a lot of pictures and everything taken from the Hubble telescope. Now, we are going to send another one, and that's a James Webb Telescope. And this James Webb Telescope, they have spent almost $10 billion already. And every day they delay, it will cost the NASA $1 million approximately. All right. And guess what? The next launching date is now set for December 24th. December 24th, Christmas Eve. All right. And this James Webb Telescope is far more superior than the Hubble telescope because it's like 100 times more powerful, and it is going to detect and look into the infrared, so it can look, you know, more things out there in the outer space, and also it will be sent about more than 1 million kilometers, I guess, quite far in this zone that is able to stay almost, you know, in that particular area. And the complexity of this whole thing, that's why the delay, you know, for many delays of this James Webb telescope is because, first of all, I think there are 366 movable parts. So they have to fold it up together, put it into this, you know, spaceship, and then zoom it out there. And then once it reaches there, it has to open up and unfold. Imagine 366 movable parts. If one part fails to open or do its, you know, what it's supposed to do, the whole thing will fail. And there goes, you flush down the $10 billion into the toilet, you know, basically that's, you know, that's what they're trying to avoid. And yeah, even as recently as they were supposed to launch it on December 22nd, they postponed to 24th. Before December 22nd, there was another date, December 18th, and that went on for quite a while, right? I think Congress in the US, from the initial budget, I think in the 90s, like 500 million, it has ballooned into 10 billion US dollars. Isn't it exciting? So to let you see the glimpse of what this particular James Webb thing, I'll just play a short, maybe few minutes just to let you feel it, all right, what it's all about.
In the cauldron of the early universe, no light could escape the dense, opaque fog of primordial gas. As this cosmic soup of atomic particles began to cool down, hydrogen atoms began to form, leading to the universe's first bright, violent new stars, burning through the fog that once blocked all light from escaping the expanding universe. Some of these early photons have traveled unhindered through the vast, empty expanse of space for 13.5 billion years and will reach their final destination here on the man-made detectors, the James Webb Telescope. A space odyssey coming to an end because of the curiosity of humans. The James Webb Telescope is going to give us our first detailed glimpse of this early universe from which we and everything we know was born. The James Webb Telescope is a $10 billion endeavor, an endeavor that has eaten into NASA's limited budget, consuming 1/4 of NASA's entire astronomy budget for years. And in the early hours of a tenuous launch date of December 24th, this $10 billion gamble will launch aboard the Ariane 5 rocket, a European heavy lift launch vehicle from the European spaceport Kourou, French Guiana. Astronomers, physicists, and enthusiasts alike will look on with nervous excitement as this rocket carries the next generation in human curiosity. This is the insane engineering of the James Webb Space Telescope. The combination of technologies required to make the James Webb Telescope possible are unique to this time period in human history. The launch vehicle, the image processing, the electromechanical systems, the cooling systems, the mirror, and the sun shield. This endeavor is the culmination of not just decades of work from the engineers and scientists at NASA, but thousands of years of work of our ancestors. The materials and engineering required to peer back 13.5 billion years into the reionization epoch are a punctuation point in human history that we, the human race, should be celebrating and watching with bated breath together. The launch will take place here in French Guiana, a spaceport ideally located on the Earth's equator to give the James Webb Telescope an extra push towards its final destination. The James Webb Telescope will not be in orbit around Earth like Hubble. It will be launching to a destination 1.5 million kilometers from Earth, Lagrange Point 2. Lagrange points are special points in space where small objects like satellites can stay more or less in the same position relative to the gravitational bodies that they are traveling with. This happens because the gravitational pull from the two bodies precisely equals the centripetal force required for the object to move with the gravitational bodies, like little parking spots in space that allow satellites to sit in a relatively stable position while using a minimal amount of fuel to stay there. There are 5 Lagrange points between the Sun and Earth. L1 lies between the Sun and Earth. It's extremely useful for Sun observation satellites. However, the nature of the James Webb Telescope's job wants it to avoid the light from the Sun as much as possible, because it is an infrared telescope. Infrared is heat, and the heat emanating from the Sun would completely saturate its sensors and make observing the cold, distant past impossible. So it will be launching to L2, located.
All right, this is just to give you an idea. I certainly do not want to have this live stream. You can watch it in YouTube and just put into the search James Webb, and there's a lot of videos about it. So it's quite an amazing, a vehicle that they have created based on thousands of years since the ancestors and where we are today, all put together to go up there 1.5 million kilometers into outer space. And they have to shield the heat, the solar heat, and also make sure that it's a negative whatever temperature, because it's infrared, and they don't want to cause any damage to that $10 billion James Webb kind of a satellite space probe kind of thing. And it's amazing. If we are able to do that and launch that effectively, that means humankind will be able to see for the first time the early creation of the Big Bang. And hopefully that will be able to tell us more what really happened. But most interestingly, apart from the initial Big Bang and the early universe, it's also looking for what they call exoplanets. In other words, trying to determine if there are life forms out there. Are we alone? All right. So it's also going to look at nearby. When we say nearby, they are still light years away. Exoplanets, basically, they will have suitable temperatures, they will have water, they have potential life forms. It's conducive for life forms to be created in these exoplanets. And we will get pictures, taken using this infrared, very strong infrared capability, the mirrors that they use. And hopefully we'll be able to know if we have neighbors, right? And maybe one day the human race will be able to develop some kind of spacecraft that can carry us at warp speed, because even at light speed is probably not good enough. You need to be at pretty fast warp speed, and according to Einstein, if you travel at light speed, you will slow down the aging process, maybe at warp speed. Yeah, that will stop the aging process. Then the astronauts can go into these different exoplanets and see if, hey, do we have neighbors, right? So yeah, this is science, and it's getting to be in a very interesting stage right now. And I really hope that on Christmas Eve, we will have good news, and it may take a few weeks before it reaches its destination, and it will take months before the pictures are being interpreted and available to the public, I think, just like the Hubble telescope pictures are available to the public. So yeah, this is very exciting. And something that I've always pondered about as I, take a deep dive into the science when I got involved in energy, NLG, and I wanted to unify everything together so that I can understand. And I'm sure some of you viewers would also like to understand. So the big question is that, do we live in a simulation? That's an amazing question, but a lot of scientists are now talking about multiverse, talking about simulation, and maybe we are in a hologram. Maybe the Matrix thing is real, and I'm sure a lot of us have watched the Matrix movie, right? So do we live in a simulation? Well, what does science have to say about that? Basically, I have shared this video about, I think 2 weeks ago. Can't really remember, but I'll share it again, because this is very important to substantiate what I have to say about simulation. All right, just take a look, an interesting video. Just take a look. It's just a short one. It's only for, I think, 3-4 minutes.
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So when we throw things, that is matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought, maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they can interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. And it was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange netherworld of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function simply by observing.
Right. So this is a very, hang on, let me just get it out of the way. As you can see from this, let me just share it. Okay. Yep. Can't get the bar. Excuse me for a while. All right, I found this. It's right at the bottom of my computer. Okay, so as we can see from this experiment, the moment that it is being observed, it turns back into a wave. So it can either, be a particle or a wave, and that's what electrons are. And we as humans, we are, and all things, everything around us, are made of molecules, atoms, subatomic particles. We have electrons, we have energy. So does it mean that when we are being observed, we behave like a particle so that we are what we are, people can see us? When nobody is watching us, does it mean that we go back into light and energy? So this experiment is something that seems to be pointing in that direction. So I will leave it to you to decide. So if we do live, in a simulation, then I guess we have to put everything together. What we understand is there must be a creator who created this simulation, right? Then the creator created the universe. And as we know, the universe, if the temperature and certain things didn't happen, stars didn't die and explode, and all these particles did not find its way to Earth, then as we know, we are made of hydrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, nitrogen, carbon, and so on. None of us will be here, right? So I believe the creator of the simulation, everything is designed. Everything is designed. It's just the way the simulator works. If we believe in the simulator theory, like some scientists do nowadays, then there must be a creator, right? And how do we get connected to one another? Well, because we are all made of the same thing, which is energy, and then it coincides with the teaching of NLG about how we can send vibrational energy to support people, receive vibrational energy for our healing and so on. So it resonates with the teaching of NLG, the science, the creation, and now I'm adding a new thing, which is, are we all living in a simulator controlled by our creator? So it's something for you to think about. And hopefully with the James Webb, we can see more and try and learn more and get a better in-depth knowledge of what's out there, because we don't really know what's out there. As I said, 95% is dark matter and dark energy. So things that we can't see. And hopefully with this infrared telescope, we're able to see more and understand more about our creation. And hopefully we can spot some planets nearby that also shows that there are life forms out there. And we can understand a little bit more about who we are, because it's very important, I guess, for most of us to understand who we are. And if we believe in this whole creation, and there is a creator and there's a God, then I guess there are certain rules that we have to follow. And Mr. Lee in his book spells out very clearly about the laws of karma. And these laws of karma will affect us in our life, in our present life, based on the good deeds or bad things that we did in our previous lives. And that will also determine in our next life as we get reincarnated and so on. So yeah, everything sort of comes together. So there are some rules and guidelines that we have to follow. And according to the book, the creator doesn't control you what you want to do, but there is an angel, guardian angel, helping you whenever you're helping humankind and when you're doing good deeds. And that's why in the teaching of NLG, we encourage morality and of course 5 forms of love, and for yourself +1 -1 state of being. Then you get a very good connection with the universe and the energy. So yeah, it resonates. Everything is like making sense, and that's why this episode of Livestream today is a very interesting one. But it's something that tricks your mind for you to think again. Are we living in a simulator? And yeah, some people call it, in many different terms. But there are a lot of things in like numerology and the golden ratio, Fibonacci ratio. It appears in so many different parts of life. So it's like a coding, isn't it? Like 0 and 1 and 0 and 1. So numbers are like we are being coded, and yeah, some people, like in Matrix, that's like they saw the cat and they look and the cat is not there. It's like deja vu, right? Yeah, so do we live in a simulation that is so-called programming designed by our creator? Sometimes maybe there are glitches, or maybe it's not glitches, it's our intuition is strong because it's not real time. When they see us, they have to go back and process. Then there's a bit of a lag of time. So maybe that can cause deja vu. For people with better intuition, they can see and feel. Wow, heavy stuff, isn't it? Anyway, I will go on and share the live stream, and just watch this live stream and let the energy flow from Mr. Lee's forehead onto your forehead, and just enjoy. Yeah, just enjoy and basically let the energy absorb into your body. All right, so I'll just mute. All right, I hope you guys received the energy just like me. And just to recap, electrons, energy, when they are being observed, they behave like particles. And when they are not being observed, they have the interference pattern in the experiment that we saw, and they behave like wave, all right? So does it mean that we live in a simulation? Because our energy in our body can behave like particle that you can see each other. All the things are also made of, energy, and they become particle, and we can see them when we are observing them, right? Is this stretching our imagination a little bit? Well, let's look at what we are doing now as human race. Facebook, Microsoft, they are, you know, investing a lot in metaverse. Have you heard of metaverse? Even Facebook has changed its name to metaverse. So metaverse is a simulation, right? So everyone will have their own avatar. Are we an avatar of something? I don't know. So it's a food for thought. I think, sometimes we have to take one step back and look at ourselves and our whole being and creation. So I hope you enjoy today's science day kind of thing, and to stay tuned with us every day to receive the wonderful energy, and also do contact us if you need to know additional information about classes, when the next class will be, and I guess there will be a Vietnamese class today by Mr. Lee, class 2. So those of you who would like to, go into class 2 after you've just completed the English class 1 and you understand Vietnamese, you can certainly do so. All right, but give yourself time to develop the energy frequency. Give yourself time. So even though you get activated in class 2, maybe your energy may not be so strong yet, right? Give yourself some time to build up your energy by practicing every day the formula, and then you develop to a level that next year, when the next class 3 will be available, then you can join. All right. So there's no point to rush into it to go up to different classes, but you still need your body and everything to adjust to the frequency. And the frequency cannot just shoot up. It has to gradually build up from class 1, class 2, class 3. All right, so thank you so much for watching today, and I hope that all of you will have a wonderful day, and those of you who are now about evening, late evening, well, have a wonderful evening. So thank you and all the best. Bye-bye. Bye.